We will have to make some bloopers, won't we?
Hiya and welcome to our podcast. My name is Deima.
And I'm Olivia, and today we're talking about Demonte's journey during her self-isolation. I'm going to give a little bit of advice on those of you who are dealing with self-isolation at the moment, because it can be very tricky.
Yeah. So I'm just going to say what happened and just talk about myself for a little bit. I hope you guys are interested in that and can relate to my story, because I feel like I don't hear enough people talking about their experiences, and through self-isolation that surely would have helped me, knowing that other people are also dealing with it.
Yeah.
So basically I live in a 7-bedroom house, so there's a lot of students that live in the house, and one of my housemates brought back COVID. I had to, for my benefit, I went to get a test, which was very scary because I was panicking, like, oh my God, it felt like it was the end of the world. I had so many plans it was my birthday coming up. So I was going to go to London with my boyfriend, and that didn't happen, mainly because of self-isolation, and then London went into tier 3, then 4, then lockdown. I believe that was
how it went.
And then so at the start it was just a panic, like, oh my God, I have so many plans. I won't be able to do anything. It's my birthday, my 21st, everything.
Because you were in tier 1 at the time, and
tier 1 or 2, I can't remember. Yeah, tier 2. But so that happened, and my test came back negative. But obviously, because being in contact with someone in the house, I had to stay for 10 days. The government guidelines changed to 10 days from 14, so it was a bit less. But Christmas was also coming up, so this was all in December, all at the wrong time. Everything. But that's when things happen.
Yeah.
Everything happens at the wrong time. Well, it's never a perfect time. So when it came to my end of isolation, I tested negative. So thank God I could leave the isolation stage, because that was just tough. It was very tough. I was working on my dissertation and finishing off my project, so that's the only few things that I had to keep busy. But self-motivating was very difficult,
especially when dealing with mental health problems on top of self-isolation. Can be really, really extra tricky. I've been lucky enough not to have to go into self-isolation, but I can talk a little bit from kind of the standpoint of trying to support someone in self-isolation.
So I started doing, I love photography, so I started creating a self-isolation series by photographing things that I do throughout the time. So, working on my computer, getting ready for the day, after a shower, drawing, or laying in bed. A lot of them are laying in bed, because that's most of the thing that I did. But it's trying to find something that you like, and I love art, but to get me drawing was so difficult, because it's just hard to get started or try and put yourself in that mental state when I could just be laying in bed and just spend hours on social media. But that again was emotionally draining, because how much more of social media can I see?
For the news as well, how much more can you read about COVID? It's not healthy constantly to be scrolling through social media. So
it's trying to find things that you like to do, and I'm gonna show you guys some of the photos here right now,
so maybe you can relate to kind of some of those emotions.
When I was taking these, I was searching online to see if anyone else has done anything like this. And they are set out in a series of how I attach my phone to my camera, which has wireless, so I can take it from my phone without a cable or a timer. And then when I finished with them, I looked through my phone, and I really like the setup because it has the date and the year, and it's a series. So it's not just one image, even though one image can be very effective, but a series to show the little movements, but like even when they're subtle, there's still little movements of them.
But I think it drags on a bit like self-isolation probably does. So like the series kind of drags on. And even though kind of each photo might not look that different, your days in self-isolation might not look that different. Exactly. And that's why I think the series was really effective.
They're very raw as well. I haven't done much editing because I just wanted to keep them as they are and recreate the layout as they were on my phone.
So what else, rather than just keeping rather than kind of getting creative, did you do to stay busy in self-isolation?
So one thing that we did together was Netflix party.
Yeah, that was good.
I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know that was a thing until Olivia suggested it. Yeah. And then we had fun watching movies together.
So like, talking as somebody whose friend was in self-isolation, and obviously being a little bit worried about them, it can be really difficult. One thing you can suggest is to sit down together and watch a movie. I mean, what did we watch? Like, just Christmas films. Yeah. And obviously, I think the biggest day that you had in self-isolation was your birthday. And we done like a little Zoom call, and I ordered her Uber Eats cocktail, and we just sat on Zoom for like a number of hours and had a chat, because that's all we could do. But at the moment, it's all about making the most of what you have.
And it's great that we can connect online even through these times, because could you imagine 20 years ago going through this and not seeing your friends? Well, you can connect so easily. We have to be grateful for these things and the advanced technology that we can have.
And I think another point though is that just because we obviously we always have to find things that we're grateful, but just because we can connect with our friends through Zoom and other services, it doesn't make self-isolation any less hard. And I think talking to yourself kindly, and like you said, you'd spend a lot of time laying in bed, right? And just think that, okay, although we're telling you to keep busy and stuff, sometimes you're going to lay in bed. Sometimes you're going to feel sad and you're going to feel miserable, and that is okay, and that is valid. I mean, you cried a lot, right?
Yeah, I cried a lot. It was so difficult. And like, even simple things that people suggested, like, you can't go for a walk outside, so why don't you walk around in the garden? Oh, really? Like, it seems so much effort for like, it's so easy to just be like, for someone to say, do this, when you're like, oh.
Yeah, so you do have to strike that nice balance of try not to spend the whole 10 days in bed. Try to video call your friends. Try to get a bit creative. To do a bit of yoga.
Whatever you feel like doing.
Yeah.
Don't push yourself like you have to.
I think pushing yourself a little bit isn't a bad thing. If you haven't got out of bed all day, it's not bad to push yourself a little bit, to do a little bit of yoga or to have a phone call.
Try have a routine. Like, in the morning I'm going to wake up and have a shower.
But don't fill your schedule out or put too much pressure on yourself. And if you say you're going to do yoga and you don't beat yourself up over it. It's fine. It's all about coping and making you feel better. So there's no point cramming a schedule that makes you feel worse. And the only task that you have during self-isolation is to keep yourself your mood up as much as possible. Definitely. And I think like an interesting thing, or kind of one of the biggest worries that you might have in self-isolation is like not catching COVID. So how did you do that? What was?
So every time I went to the toilet, I wiped down the seat. I used the downstairs. There's 3 floors, so I used the downstairs one, where me and my 2 other housemates used. While my other housemate who did have COVID, she used the upstairs one. So but even that, I tried to wipe down the toilet. wash my hands, but then also when I get to my room, sanitize my hands, try and wear a mask. But then after a time, it's like so much effort to wipe down the toilet,
but it's important to do it.
Put a mask on, and I'm going to be honest, I didn't always do it because it's just like
But it's that point that we were just saying again, isn't it? If you forget to sanitize your hands one day, don't beat yourself up over it. But do try, to keep extra, personal hygiene, just to try to keep your own health up.
To keep my distance from my housemates as well.
Didn't your other housemates drop off your housemate food?
Yeah.
So she didn't leave her room,
Yeah, so my housemates got co-op delivery, while my friend was really good that he lives down the road, so he doesn't live very far, and he was so nice and said, I'm just popping to the shop, do you need anything? And I was like, I'm running out of this and that, and which was so lovely. I'm so grateful that he did that. So he did that for me twice.
So if you have friends in self-isolation, remember to just think about them. If they're in, because obviously we live very far away, so I couldn't pick up food for you. But if they live kind of nearby, picking up food for them, picking up prescriptions, obviously. We spoke about antidepressants previously, and if we can't, if somebody couldn't get that antidepressant, that's going to make their self-isolation a lot worse. And I also think we brought up an interesting point there, that if you are the person with COVID, because you were lucky enough not to have caught it. If you're the person with COVID, also being mindful that it's extra important to sanitize your hands, to stay in your room and things like that, because you don't want to get your loved ones and or your housemates or whoever you're living with sick.
Because that just adds a lot of stress onto them. Obviously, it's stressful for you as well, but
of course.
Yeah.
And if you're not the one with COVID, making sure that the person who's got COVID is well looked after, always has water and food and their medication, so that they don't have to leave their room. And that's not just for their benefit, but for yourself. Making sure that they can get hold of you, because they're going to be feeling very poorly potentially, and they need your support. And I know that having COVID is probably very, very scary, and we're both very lucky enough to not have had it. And it's important, to remember that if your symptoms do get to a point that is really, really scary to you, then you can phone the NHS and get support. So, don't feel that you can't, get those medical services just because of things you've seen on the news, things like that.
Yeah. So thank you for listening to us. And we'll see you again very soon.
Yeah, we hope that was helpful. Goodbye.